Why do we suffer? It's a simple question, but the answer is not so straightforward. When we think about suffering, the first thing that comes to mind is when our physical body gets hurt. But that's not the only way we suffer. Suffering includes also emotional suffering, intellectual suffering, all kinds of stress, anxiety. All of that constitutes suffering. The ancient sages of all times taught us that suffering comes from desire. What is desire? Well, normally we associate this word desire with wanting something. However, it's a little bit more complicated than that. For me, desire is a broad spectrum of, let's say, feelings we feel in our lives. We might divide the word desire in two categories. One is avulsion, repulsion, fleeing from negative things. And the other one is compulsion, wanting, pursuing positive things which we want. One side makes us flee bad things, and the other side makes us want good things. So because our whole lives are spent going after what we want and fleeing what we do not want, we are in a constant state of suffering. The great sage Buddha Shakyamuni taught us that life is suffering. Or for me, even better, in life there is suffering. Suffering is inevitable in life. It's something we cannot avoid if we lead a normal, common life like we all do. Why? It's because of desire, as we just said. But the Buddha also taught us that there is an end to this suffering, Nirvana, or translated into English, cessation. We commonly think of the word Nirvana as paradise, as a divine state of being where the person is enlightened, is a Buddha. However, the word Nirvana means cessation, the end of suffering. And the Buddha also taught us the way to achieve this cessation, the end of suffering. And the way is the path. The path, with a capital P, is the way in which we liberate ourselves from suffering forever. The path is not self-evident. It's not like we can look at the ground and see a trail, like when we walk in nature. The path is something that we have to carve out for ourselves. This path, the Buddha says, has many attributes. For example, I'll name a few. The right way of thinking, the right way of acting, the right way of earning money, and so on and so forth. The path is our own life lived with wisdom. So why do we suffer? Let's go back to that question. We suffer because we are constantly fleeing from bad things and running after good things for ourselves. What this leads to is a state of mind which is always living either in the past or in the future, never living the present moment fully, intensely. We never accept and live the little things in life. We do not enjoy them. We do not feel, for example, a sunset, a nice view, a snowy mountain. We do not take life in as it is, but we are always trying to make it something which it is not. We are always trying to change outside circumstances to our favor, and doing so, we suffer. We suffer when we cannot get something we want. We suffer when we lose something we love or someone we love. We suffer even when we get the thing we want and it's not enough. Or when we get the thing we want and then we have a fear of losing it. Fear, anxiety, rage, lust, envy, and so on and so forth, the capital sins, are the causes of our suffering. In Gnosis, we call these psychological defects egos or psychological eyes. The I, the me, The myself, the ego, is something which separates me from life as a whole, life as a flow, freedom, possibilities, beauty, the present moment. When the ego is alive and strong in our psyche, we are always running from reality and pursuing something which is not true. For example, when we are lustful, we are always running from our own situation. For example, our marriage, and we are looking to another woman, to another man. When we feel rage in ourselves, we are feeling a fire, a negative fire of distraction, of violence, of ire, directed towards that person or that thing that made that situation something that we do not want it to be. That it made it different from the way we wanted it to be. That's rage. That's fury. When, for example, sloth is active in our psyche, we do not want to take action. We fall prey to a horrible lack of will. We fall prey to that state of being, state of mind, state of emotion, in which we would rather leave everything to sort itself out, to degenerate, to fall apart, instead of taking action, of making a sacrifice to make things better. When we are a prey of envy, for example, we do not like things as they are. We always want more, based on what other people have. We want more money, more cars, a better job, a better wife, a better social status, and so on and so forth. We never accept what we have, what God has gave us right here, right now, to work with. No, we want better. And these are just a few examples of how our 7 capital sins make our lives hell. There could be more. I could go on forever making examples, but the thing is, when our mind is fully controlled by our ego, our psychological I, our me, our myself, what we feel we want and feel we need, not what we actually want and what we actually need. When we let these selfish needs take control of ourselves, we inevitably will suffer. So how do we escape suffering? How do we put an end to it? Well, first of all, we should listen to the advice that sages told us countless times during the various epochs of human history. We need to become good human beings. We need to help other people. We need to be stoic in our lives. We need to learn to control our passions, not let our desires take full control of our machine, of our body, of our mind, of our feelings. Devote our lives to something higher. Because if we do not, we will put all of our faith in worldly things like addiction, vices, gambling, lust, envy, materialism, money, and so on and so forth. When we put our center of gravity in things like spirituality, God, philosophy, becoming better, becoming a good person, our lives will change drastically. We will start living a life where we're not always running after pleasures, women, men, money, power, fame. We will start living a life where we live the moment, feel life, feel nature, feel divinity in ourselves. We feel that we have a place in the universe. We feel our own being. We feel love. Love is the most important precept of them all. It's the eternal law. It's what created everything and the thing to which everything will return to eventually. So, if our center of mass, if our center of gravity is love, is God, is divinity, is gnosis, is the teachings, and I'm saying gnosis, but it could be Christianity, Buddhism, Islam, any religion or thing which connects us to God, when that's our center of gravity, everything changes. We might suffer, yes, of course we will suffer until we destroy the cause of suffering, which is the ego. Suffering is inevitable. However, we can decide to suffer unconsciously, like the majority of humanity does, or we can decide to use that suffering as a sacrifice, as a way, as a mean through which we will liberate our consciousness, we will change, we will cease suffering forever. There's a saying which says, pain is inevitable, but suffering is voluntary. Why? Because in having a physical body, we will experience pain, we will experience illness, even moral pain, like when we lose a loved one, when we lose a pet, and so on and so forth. That's inevitable, that's part of our human experience, our human life. What's not inevitable, what's evitable, let's say, is suffering because of those things. When we, for example, when we cut our fingers while cooking, let's say, we can decide, do I suffer because of this pain? Or do I just feel that pain? In that case, suffering would be like saying, oh, poor me, I cut myself, please, somebody help me, please everybody look at me. My God, why am I suffering so much for this cut? That would be suffering. And pain would be the actual physical sensation of pain. There's a real difference. We cannot hold on to that suffering. We cannot become like pigs who splash in the mud being our own negative emotions. We should be clean. We should be pure. We should seek to destroy all causes of suffering. Thank you very much for listening, and I will see you in the next episode.